Hello, welcome to White Space. As you can see, the new issue of Data Center Dynamics magazine is out with a cover feature about lasers.
In space.
Lasers in space.
Lasers in space, creating a whole new internet infrastructure. We've got NASA, we've got General Atomics talking about drones, we've got everything.
But why? That's just optical communication. Why don't they do it down fibres on the ground?
Because, so, as we know, submarine cables have to go around different countries, different routes. There might be a big crevasse in the middle of the sea. This just goes up, bing, bong. As Donald Trump would say, bing, bing, bong, bong. And simple, quick, fast. You can't tap it, you can't cut it, can't be an earthquake. It's just laser in space. Beautiful, simple.
But it needs satellites, right?
It needs satellites. It needs military technology that they've been holding on to and now are giving to the world.
Right, so the satellites are being launched
2018.
And there are actual data centres that will be connected with
Equinix are very excited. They were very happy to talk about how they're trying to work together with laser light communications and space.
And space.
Space.
Okay, brilliant.
Read all about it.
Good.
And there's more space stuff coming for people who like space.
But it's not all over for the seabed.
No.
Not.
No, I mean, you remember about a year ago we were talking about Microsoft putting data centres on the floor of the ocean.
Yes.
And everybody said, oh dear,
Sounds a bit fishy.
Sounds a bit fishy. How do you maintain them? How do you connect them? Well, it turns out most of the population live near the sea, and data centres can now be run lights out. And hardware is reliable and comparatively long-lived as we get near the end of Moore's Law. So Microsoft did a trial, it worked, and they said, we'll be back with a bigger one. And we haven't heard anything from Microsoft. But we did notice, or had pointed out to us, a patent. Just before Christmas, Microsoft applied for a patent for an artificial reef data centre, which is basically the same idea, but with more of them, bigger, and designed to attract and preserve wildlife.
But I thought building coral reefs take ages and ages.
Yeah, but because building coral reefs isn't very inviting for people because environment's not a business thing. Whereas if you make it a business thing and make it environmental, so
yeah, building artificial coral reefs are not unknown. People do things like sort of sink ships to build them on. Presumably, you have to be able to pull out a module to raise it to the surface when you need to upgrade the hardware. You don't pull up the whole thing and all the wildlife dies. But the details are in the patent. We're in the process of reading and reporting on it. Well, when I say the details, as many details as you normally get in a patent, will we?
Yes.
And we haven't yet heard anything directly from the Natick people as to whether this, where this is in the pipeline.
We've been talking all about tax breaks. Tax breaks are great because, if you're a large web scale customer, then you benefit from tax breaks, and tax breaks are great for you. If you're a smaller data center operator, then tax breaks are unfair, and you're looking at them and thinking, why can't I get them? Why do these guys who are already big get preferential treatment? And we've had a report from Oregon State Department, and they're saying Oregon is too liberal with tax breaks, and basically they do it's a big 30-page document. It's not just data centers. It just so happens that out of the majority of money given out in tax breaks in Oregon goes to data center companies. Most of it to Intel, actually. There's a big Intel project. But there is this disconnect. So Business Oregon has the money, but the power to give the money is actually in the hands of the smaller communities. And when you talk to someone in Los Lunas village, do you want a Facebook data center? And they're just like, of course we can. And they might, they might not realize the wider implications of this trend. So this report is very interesting, 30 pages, criticizes disconnect, says something we've heard before, where tax breaks and incentives should be tied to the results. So jobs created, wages paid, infrastructure for local people, things like that.
I would also say if you are a hyperscale business, look at what Google has done in Pryor County. So they've got huge tax breaks and they've spent quite little in return on the community, but gotten very good publicity out of it, including a very glowing, long New York Times article about Wi-Fi for everyone in the village, take the school kids out to Google, do training courses, give tons of people Chromebooks, and compared to the hundreds of millions in tax breaks and stuff they get, nothing, but everyone loves them, everyone's happy. So there's a politically savvy way of doing this.
It
this
can be very cost effective.
Yes.
Okay, what have you been hearing about, Sebastian?
The spooky stories.
Spooky stories.
Data center ghosts.
So East Tennessee State Uni, the fourth largest in the state. That fell just like this. East Tennessee State University, the fourth largest in the state. They just did a small little story saying, we're moving our data center out of the basement of this dorm, there's some water leaks, we're going to put it in an actual building designed for data centers.
Sounds sensible.
Sounds sensible, but we did a little bit of digging. Why is there water? And that's when things got weird and the lights started flickering because it's haunted. The dorm is haunted. East Tennessee State University is one of the most haunted state universities in the country, but it has two specific. East Tennessee State University is one of the most haunted universities in the country, but that specific dorm has two ghosts. There's Marble Boy, who people hear the sound of someone throwing marbles, and he apparently chased a marble down an elevator shaft. But the other one, the more interesting, is Sink Girl.
Marble Boy
and
Sink Girl. Okay.
And Sink Girl turns on the taps in people's rooms and the shower, everything on full, causing water leaking.
Right.
So that's why they had to move. And,
yes. Either that, yes. So it's either ghosts or the students are careless with their taps and they tell stories about it.
I think ghosts are clearly more logical and realistic.
And the end result is the same.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. University moves data centre out of haunted dorm. So Sebastian, you found another interesting angle. We've had space and now games. Video games, yes.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful video games. So fans of the magazine will know we did a previous cover feature on games and data centres, and we hinted that there are some companies looking at the idea of a Netflix for video games, just a very simple stream, you pay money, you just stream. But it's a lot harder, it's a lot more expensive, and now Nvidia's like, we're going to do it, and it's $25 for 20 hours.
Right.
Yeah. And it's been a graveyard of sort of like gaming companies. Everybody who tried this has failed and has been acquired by Sony.
So that's what we expect to happen with this one.
Well, so the interesting thing is with Sony, because they're doing just PS3 streaming, a PS3 is now $90, right? And that's to buy the whole PS3. If you're just Sony getting the insides and putting that in a rack, that's a lot less. So for them, it's much cheaper than Nvidia want to use cutting edge chips to try and show off Nvidia. So it's a lot more investment and difficult.
And then you've got these cutting-edge chips doing lightning fast graphics in a rack somewhere over there, and you're looking down a long glass fibre at it.
Yeah.
Presumably, if they put these real games GPUs in the data centre, they'll have to design the racks or the systems somehow differently.
Well, intriguingly enough, we found that the warranty for those GeForce chips actually says don't put in servers. But we think that's more them trying to not get other people to do it.
Oh, right.
But
unless you're Nvidia.
Yeah, so we're going to try and track this down and get some more cold, concrete facts on this before it launches in early access in March in America. And again, only in America because latency is such an issue that it has to be close to wherever they're putting them.
Okay, one last final story. A data center company renamed. KPN has got a co-location business in the Netherlands, so it's Netherlands data centers, and they've gone from KPN, a three-letter company name, to, for the Netherlands data centers, they're now called NLDC.
Wow, inventive.
Yeah, it is. It's very inventive.
NLDC.
I personally salute the plain speaking logic behind this name. Also in Europe, we have OVH, who are a French data center company.
Yes, OVH is worth keeping an eye on because basically they weren't very big, but then they got into some money, and now they're opening data centers left and right. They plan to spend $1.5 billion in the next 5 years. They've just, like, literally in October, I think, they announced a new data center in Frankfurt, and that was, I think, a new build. Now they've come to the UK to open their first UK data center.
Is it in Slough?
They said on the outskirts of London, so it's more than possible that it is in the lovely town of Slough. Basically, 6 months to refit. It will open in May 2017. No co-location, just hosting and cloud, if I understand this correctly. But direct connections to their point of presence in London, and that point of presence already has connections to France, to Germany, and from over there, OVH already has data centers in New York and somewhere in Canada. I don't remember.
Good. Happy New Year to you all. Welcome back. We'll see you next week for another episode of whatever it's called.